Company. Check us out online at 1700thechamp.com, Facebook and Twitter at 1700thechamp. My partner and my producer is at FB_Show_Jam. That is Jeremy. I'm at Steen on Sports. Our next guest is at T Cutillo 23. And we are going to talk we want to talk some Philadelphia stuff, but that 23 in there for a reason. And we got to watch the first two segments of The Last Dance, Tony, and a great quote, and you had it on your timeline on Twitter, and it's the best. And Larry Bird wasn't one to brag about people very often, but when he said, "Hey, what you guys just saw is God coming down here and playing as Michael Jordan," that's a pretty big deal.
No, listen, it absolutely is. And I know I don't want to sit here and get this whole LeBron versus Michael debate, because that's basically what this is going to be once this entire season airs. But, I'm sitting here, I have two boys of my own, and we're sitting here watching it. And my older one said to me, "You know what, Dad? I don't see LeBron do that." And honestly, that's my biggest takeaway when we talk about, when you hear Larry Bird say something like that, because LeBron, I'm not taking anything away from LeBron. I think he's a tremendous player, but he did not command games like Michael Jordan did. And I know they're different eras, but you just seen him. I mean, this guy in back-to-back games, 49 points, then 63 points as a rookie, as a second-year player, and he's the MVP in a losing game. I mean, it's just unheard of.
And no rest and no time management and no anything. He just played. Even if they asked him to come out of the game, he's looking at Phil Jackson like, "Get out of here." He was just a different cat. Another great take that you had on Twitter too, and here's the thing that I've been thinking about with if OBJ or somebody is out there, or my partner over there, is it Goodman? Which wide receiver yours is open?
Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and the only one that you're kind of looking at might be Justin Jefferson, I agree with you. Why don't you go heavy and see if Cleveland is really looking? Because I don't know if Justin Jefferson helps you.
No, listen, I completely agree. We did a podcast yesterday for PhillyInfluencers.com, and that's the first thing me and Candace McClain talked about. Because listen, if you want a guy. And you hear all the reports coming out now about Jerry Jeudy. He could have fell out of the first round because of some knee issues. And CeeDee Lamb is the guy. So if you're not going to go up and get CeeDee Lamb, why sit and take Justin Jefferson, who basically, listen, I know 111 catches, 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. I understand that. But we don't need a slot guy for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, and I know he can go long. I don't want a guy who can go long. I want a guy who is going to go long and take over a game. So, yeah, to sit at 21 and take Justin Jefferson is just irresponsible to me. And that's why I completely think that the Eagles are going to disappoint all their fans, and they're going to move back in the draft, and they're not going to take a wide receiver early, and it's going to be infuriating to the fan base.
And Carson Wentz, I mean, come on.
You got to get him somebody.
Give him somebody to throw to.
Yeah, it was completely irresponsible to me and Howie Roseman and that management staff to not go out and address this in the offseason. And we're talking about in Philadelphia, we watched a guy named Donovan McNabb waste some of his best years with guys like Charles Johnson and Torrance Small and James Thrash and Todd Pinkston. And now they're going to do the same thing to Carson Wentz. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. So I don't know if they have something up their sleeve that we're not talking about, but from everything that I hear is, listen, it's CeeDee Lamb or it's nobody. And I don't know if they're going to get up to 11 or 10 because they got to bump over the Jets if they're going to get CeeDee Lamb, and I don't think it's possible.
There's a lot of talk with San Francisco as far as wanting to trade down from both of their first-round picks. Do you think if Philly was able to orchestrate something jumping up to San Francisco, I think picks 12 or 13th, would that be a viable move?
San Francisco has 13,
13.
And they've been looking at moving that pick. But here's the problem: now that you talk about a guy named Jeudy, who we just mentioned about maybe falling out off draft boards, now you're going to move a guy like Henry Ruggs up, who to me, Henry Ruggs is John Ross. And, I'm not drafting John Ross. So, you're not going to get CeeDee Lamb at 13, in my opinion, because there's no way he's going to slip from the Jets.
Man,
to me, the Jets are a lock.
You broke Steen's heart there because he's been big on.
I like Henry Ruggs. I'm hoping
he's not a lock to me. Here's the problem: he's not a lock as a number one. That's my issue.
And that was the thing too. And you never know. Tyreek Hill wasn't a lock to be good, and he just has that kind of speed. He has, and in the NFL right now, it works a little bit. But you're right. Tyreek Hill could just as much been a bust because of his size. I mean, that's the problem with all these guys. I mean, there's no DeAndre Hopkins. There's no, Larry Fitzgerald. There's no big guys that you have to go up and get. And there's a lot of them that are going to go in the first round. And when we've had drafts like that before, I can remember early, in the 90s, people always tried to draft wide receivers, and they were all horrible.
Yep, and that's the issue to me, and that's why I talked about Odell Beckham Jr. And I said, listen, if we're going to sit 21, why not go for a guy who has the talent? Listen, you could question his psyche, you could question his mental aptitude, but his physical attributes are there. His athleticism is there. He is a number one receiver. But I will say something to any Eagles fans listening to me out there, anybody who likes the Eagles, there is a possibility. I still think that they will get a receiver, but it's not going to be the guy they want, and I'm okay with it if they trade back. I still think the Miami Dolphins really like Justin Jefferson, and I think at 26, if the Eagles are 21 and Jefferson's sitting there, I think the Miami Dolphins and the Eagles make a trade. They move up to get Jefferson, and I think at 26 they're going to draft the Philadelphia Eagles draft a guy named Cesar Ruiz, who is the best center in the draft out of Michigan, and I could see them bumping the 31 back into the first round and maybe getting a guy like Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State at the tail end of the draft. They come out with a top center and a pretty decent wide receiver. I mean, listen, it's not it's not CeeDee Lamb, but it's something.
Yeah, and even the kid from Colorado that was hurt, who people aren't real, they just can't decide what they want to do. I think you might be able to pull him too, but you're right that here's the problem. And if some of these, if like CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs was going to a team that already had a solid one, then I'd go, man, that's a great pick. Right now, the Eagles they need a solid one, and OBJ would give you that. And even the kid from San Francisco is probably not good enough to be a number one. I mean, he hasn't shown that either. So it's just crazy how fickle a wide receiver, even when they're talented, but you don't know in college football how really good they are. And that's one of those things that Hakeem Butler, who got hurt but came from Iowa State, went to Arizona. He was big and that sells. He was big and strong. And that's what happened with, help me with the name, the kid that Seattle grabbed late because nobody wanted.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf. He was big and fast.
Who the Eagles passed up on, by the way.
Way to reopen that wound, Steen.
I know. He made fun of Henry Ruggs, and he makes me look bad because Tony knows a lot more than I do.
Hey, it's all crapshoot. All I know is, to me, there's no Julio Jones in this draft. As good as these wide receivers are, there's no Julio Jones in this draft. So, in my opinion, if you're going to do 21, get a prime talent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Eagles fans out there that'll agree with you with that mindset there, Tony.
You'd be surprised. There really wasn't. I was getting hammered over it.
Okay, maybe a vocal minority out there. But
yeah, definitely.
I want to kind of look at maybe your top 10, any surprises, anything crazy, wonky you see kind of shaken down within the first 10 picks of the draft?
I think there's a smoke screen game going on between Miami and the Chargers. I think Miami secretly really likes Justin Herbert, but they keep coming out saying they're having a love fest with Tua, and they're not going to draft Herbert. But I think the Chargers are going to have to jump past Miami in order to get Tua. So I think there's going to be a trade. I think the Chargers go trade with the Giants for no number 4 pick, and the Giants grab an extra pick and they move back. And I think the Chargers move up and they take Tua. I think, to me, in the top 5, top 6, I think that may be the biggest surprise I've had anything.
Go ahead.
And I think that'd be a great move. They obviously need to address the quarterback issue. Do the Los Angeles Chargers, whether it be through jumping up in the draft or trading back in at the tail end of the first round for maybe a Jordan Love if he's still available, or maybe they're just playing the waiting game to see what happens through the draft, and then they're just going to sign a guy like Jameis off the streets.
Yeah, you could. I mean, here, if you look at it, the New York Giants, their offensive line is a mess. So they really like Jedrick Wells Jr. out of Alabama. And if you draft anybody out of Alabama, I mean, they groom offensive linemen out of Alabama. So, they can get him at 6 if they make the trade with the Chargers. So the Chargers move up. They get their quarterback. Miami, we know, is going to take a quarterback. And the Giants move back 2 spots. They'll probably pick up an extra pick in the process and still get the guy that they want. So I think the first maybe 8 or 9 picks are kind of really set. I mean, I can't see Cincinnati not taking Barrow. Chase Young, Washington. Okuda goes to Detroit. And, Okuda takes over for Darius Slay. So, I mean, everything kind of falls in line. Maybe Carolina gets a little cute. They don't take a linebacker. Maybe they take a guy like Tristan Wirfs out of, offensive tackle out of Iowa. But I think, for the top 15, maybe, I think pretty much it's kind of, just roll the dice, but move a player here or there. I think it'll be pretty good.
It is very interesting. I'm gonna jump here for just a quick second. I have a basketball question, and this has been eaten.
Sure.
And I saw that you kind of looked at this and had it on your Twitter too. I've always been this guy and looking at Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and seeing everybody saying, well, they can't play together. And I agree. I don't know if it was you who said it or somebody that you like said it. I'm with you. I would fire every management and every coach until I get somebody that can come in there and make both of them play. And you have to be somebody that they respect because they have to learn to play together. And Ben Simmons has to change his game a little bit, and he has to buy in. But he's not going to do that with Coach Brown there. He's just not. He is not a fit, and it's not like he's the reason they're winning. They have talent on that team, and I am such a big Ben Simmons fan, and I do not want to see him. I don't want him to be traded. I don't think that's right that Philadelphia loses that good a player because some coach or management doesn't know how to fit him in.
Nah, listen, we've been through enough in Philadelphia when it comes to when it comes to the draft, when it comes to bad draft picks, when it comes to tanking. We've been through it all. I mean, Charles Shackelford's like a household legend in Philadelphia, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, let's please not take. And it was me, and I YouTube page Heat Ratio Sports on my podcast. I mentioned it because it's exactly what you just said. You do not take two generational talents and give them away. You always try to make it work. And I've said this before, and I know it's a stretch, but guess what? Kobe and Shaq did not like each other. They hated each other in the beginning. But guess what? Phil Jackson he found a way to make it work. And that's what a coach needs to do. When you have two guys, whether it's even changing Ben Simmons up a little bit, two guys that can dominate a game. Obviously, the problem is that Brett Brown is not a leader. He is a friend. He's too much of a friend to these guys, and it's not going to work. You need to bring in somebody in here. And I'll tell you what, let's shake it all up. Let's be the first NBA team to hire Becky Hammond, the first female.
I'm in, dude.
Right? I'm in. Bring her from I don't care if she's from San Antonio again. Bring her in, shake it up, because guess what? If Joel and Ben, they're not going to know how to act. So if they are some issues, in the locker room or on the practice court, maybe getting away with things, they're not going to get away with Becky. So bring her in. Let's change the game and let's move on. But I'm not trading either one of those guys.
Tony, all right, we got about 2 minutes left here, and I think we saved the best for last. Breaking news this afternoon, Gronk returning to football to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rejoining Tom Brady. What's your thoughts on this?
I love it. I absolutely listen. I've seen a couple people talk about, is this like LeBron ring chase? He's going to start. No, Tom Brady is not LeBron. Listen, Gronk was going to come back whether Tom was in New England or Tampa Bay. It doesn't matter. Gronk, he was in WWE for a second and he hated it. He knew he could play and make money, right? He wants to play. So that doesn't matter. This team is going to be electric. Just think about it. Me, both of you guys and myself talked about this a couple weeks ago, how invigorating this team was going to be with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and the double tight end sets. Well, now you have Gronk. And I'm telling you right now, I posted earlier, don't be surprised if Leonard Fournette makes his way out of Jacksonville and becomes that Tampa Bay running back. And I'll tell you what, ring chasing, you name it, they're one of the top 3 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was already pretty high on the Patriots after bringing in Tom Brady, just given the arsenal that he had at his disposal. But as that arsenal continues to get better as the day goes on, and by the end of the day, who knows? Maybe Fournette could be there.
Listen, he wants his way out, and I cannot see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into a season under Bruce Arians with a guy named, Peyton Barber or Ronald Jones as their number one running back. I just don't see it.
Really quick, Tony, we've got about 20 seconds. How much money will be bet on the draft trying to match picks?
I'll tell you what, I don't know the exact number, but I would say it would be triple of any other year because guess what? People are jonesing, yeah. Right? Jonesing to put a bet on something. So, and they just got stimulus checks. Guess what? Donald Trump is throwing his name all over those bets because that's whose check is getting signed over right now.
Man, Tony, as always, it's a blast to have you on, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, talk to you later. Tony Cutillo, 23. It's 23 for a reason. You could tell he was so excited, and after that, his tweets were amazing. You've been listening to The Drive with Steen and Company on 1700 The Champ, Real Sports Talk for real sports fans. My champ of the week with Jeremy and myself next.